What's going on? Shantae, you're on my YouTube channel, which I normally use for school, but I was just watching a video. I seen a post from a girl, I think her name is Cheyenne, and she mentioned she's a type 1. And I don't know, it just inspired me. I just started thinking about all this stuff. My daughter, who is 11, is a type 1 diabetic. And she was a type 1 diabetic since she was 2. And a lot of people don't even know. I didn't even know there was a difference until I had to learn it from type 1, type 2. Type 2 health things going on can turn you to a diabetic. Type 1 has to do with things inside you. And I'm not going to get into all the ways the pancreas is attacked and this and this and that. But it happens and they still don't know why. It's not because they're not eating right or not exercising. It's something was going to happen. It's going to happen, period. Close it at that. But I'm doing this as a parent of a type 1. It upsets me. They have diabetic month in November. People don't even know that. You don't go to cash registers and they don't say, hey, would you like to donate to diabetic JDRF or someone that's trying to help, find what causes or cures diabetes for type 1s? Nothing. And then they get it mixed up with type 2s. It's just different because it's a different world, two different worlds, apples and oranges all the way. They don't have a choice. They're born that way. They grow that way. They get it later. And then as a parent, something that never leaves you. Of course, I didn't go through it. I don't have it. But my daughter, who got it at 2 again, and now she's 11. From that day, I can remember the hospital. I remember the pain of seeing her sick, and I didn't know why. I didn't get the clues. I didn't say, whoa, why am I changing her diaper? She wasn't 2 yet, but she's, why am I changing her diaper? And it's soaked, because she wear a diaper at night. I'm like, why is it soaked? Like, soaked. I didn't get it. Why is she losing this weight? And then one day I saw her, came home from work, like, what the heck? She's not feeling well. Second day I came home from work, no, there was a problem. Took her to the hospital. Stupid hospital I went to. I'm going to say Kaiser, truly, Victorville. Their machine broke and they didn't have the technology at that moment to figure out what her actual blood reading was. They could only do the one from the finger poke or something at the time, and they knew she was 600 and above, but possibly a diabetic with all of the symptoms that we're saying. And I broke down. I don't cry hardly ever. My daughter is the one thing that does get me now. It was my grandmother when I was a kid, but now my daughter is the one thing that can probably make me cry if there's an issue. And that was one time I broke down. From that point, just made a few mistakes. Got her to a hospital that could take care of it. Had to go to Fontana, Kaiser. And they said her blood reading was 800. Ketones were crazy. She was barely. I remember driving like crazy. And she went into this wall down. I'm like, oh my gosh. Anyway, that pain, seeing my daughter, and I didn't know what the hell, and I'm rushing, and she was in the hospital for like 3 or 4 days, maybe 4 or 5 days. Then we start doing the lessons of learning how to make sure she gets insulin and what's going on. And seeing the first time after they gave her insulin and she was corrected, how an appetite I never knew she had, she cleared plates of food all of a sudden. And as a parent, I still knew my daughter as a kid, she didn't like anyone touching her besides her mom or myself. I'm talking from my mom to my sister. It took a long time for her to warm up so they could be around her without her like, get away from me. She was just used to her mom and she was used to me, and that's it. So when we took her to the hospital that first time and she was letting the doctors touch her, and my sister came in and held her hand, and she was just sitting there just, out of it. And I'm like, man, I went outside again, broke down. Then about 4 or 5 days later, after she started getting regulated, she started coming back around. I remember a male nurse was like, hey, you guys, I'm going to feed her. You can go have some lunch. She's okay. I said, are you sure you want us to leave? Because now she's up. She is crying. She sees us. She doesn't want us to leave. At first, she just was too, I don't want to use words. She was just incoherent, I guess, and just like, and now it's like, no, mommy, daddy, where you going? We're sitting there holding her, and then we're like, okay. He assured us she was okay. He's gonna feed her, give her stuff, and we can go get something to eat, take a break for a second. We're like, all right. I remember walking away, and this little girl went ballistic, just screaming, crying. It's okay. We walk away, and I just stood around the corner for a second. She's not stopping. I walked back over. He was like, no, you guys stay here. He had blood on his arms from her scratching, trying to get away from him. And at that moment, I had a tear in my eye like I feel right now. And I was like, oh, my baby's back. I was like, my baby's back. And I picked her up, hugged her. I just remember that, like, gosh, that was probably the one time in my life that I hated more than anything. I've lost a lot of people in my world, just coming from the streets, doing the places I've been. But that was probably one of the hardest times. And then getting home and trying to learn this and change up diets and learn a whole bunch of stuff. It was crazy. And that last time, I remember a few times I was going somewhere, didn't have anything to do with her at the time, and got off the freeway over there off Sierra, off the 10 where Kaiser is, and just remembered all that stuff, and it just brought it all back, and I cried again. Or sometime getting up late in the middle of the night, just making sure she's okay, and I check her, and I see the blood on her fingertip while I'm checking her, and I cried again. Always wondering, I go in there, her room at night, just touch her toe, make sure she's moving. And I said, okay, I won't check her tonight. I'll let her rest. But constantly, every time I walk past her room, I go check, do certain things. Then you start learning about technology. So, whoa, her fingers are always getting pricked. I'm tired, always having to give her insulin. The pain, I know, it's like, man, you could imagine what they go through. Like, gosh, it sucks. She hates it. I can't tell her how much I hate it because I got to be strong to make her strong. But I get it. Like, gosh, dang, why? And you feel that, like, man. So I remember, it's expensive to get these things. And at the time, I wanted to get something to make her feel better. So we got her I don't remember the name of it now. That's funny, I don't remember the name of it. It's it's weird. I can't remember. It's a little thing that does a little suction when you check her, and it doesn't have the same amount of pain as the regular checker that you hit her with the lancet. So my nephew actually bought it for her because he saw her getting checked and he wanted to get something, so he got that for her. And then it moved up. And the reason why I don't remember is because it's been so long. Then all of a sudden they got this thing called the Dexcom. Well, you put this on them, they can have it on for, I think it's 5 or 10 days. 10 days, I think it is. And it constantly gives you her blood sugar readings, glucose. And so you don't have to get the pricks all the time. Maybe when you change it, you just want to make sure that it's calibrated. Bam, Dexcom. Okay, start liking that. I'm at work. I can plug up look on my phone, see what her reading is, and she'll be playing a video game. She loves Fortnite, so do I. And she'll be playing a video game, and I'm like, why aren't you paying attention? I have to send her a text or call her. Do a correction. You're going high, you're going low, eat something, blah, blah, whatever. But now it's like, okay, I could pull it up on my phone. That's great. Out the pocket. The next thing came up. Well, the pump. The pump helps. Our readings are up and down, this and that. This thing cost a lot of money. A lot of money. Even with my insurance, I still just came out the pocket because it's supposed to help her numbers and I want her to be as healthy as possible. So I do what I do to make sure I can get that for her. And we just started it a few weeks ago, and I love it so far for the fact that, okay, I gotta put this in her, but now instead of her getting insulin 4 or 5, 6, whatever times a day from her eating to corrections and all that other stuff that we deal with, it connects to her Dexcom, so now we can see her numbers. Now we can put in the carbs, and we can, and it reads the number and it calculates it all itself, and bam, it gives her the insulin. She doesn't have to get the injections all day. It just corrects and bolus insulin, and it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. But I think that things can be better. More awareness, get more funding, help. Just because you don't see it, and I know cancer is bad, there's no coming back at certain times, and I lost a little cousin of mine, and she was only, I think, 9 at the time, and that sucked. And I just actually saw her obituary a couple of days ago, and just from cancer, and I get it. But trust me, it's not easy for us. Just because they're not out there like that, and the awareness isn't as big, it's not easy. It's painful, especially when you see your child go through things like that, and you have to deal with it as a parent. And again, I'm not the one to get there and just do the sympathy thing when she's feeling a certain way, but I always have empathy. But I always care and I always hurt. But I can't all the way, because what good would that do her? So I'm like, I get it. Then I gotta say there's people out there with worse issues and this and that, but I can't negate she has an issue and it's not cool. And people need to know more about, learn more about, support. I honestly feel it's crazy. It's crazy that insulin costs a couple dollars to make, but they charge us so much money for it. You can make insulin for a couple dollars. And for me to get a vial with my insurance, I still got to pay $35, $40. Something to make them live. And they just probably don't even want to find a cure, because that would cut the money out from these pharmaceutical people making the insulin. And that's crazy, that something they need to live is so expensive. I mean, this machine, I'm talking about the pump, that thing is thousands of dollars. Who can afford that stuff? With my insurance, I still came out the pocket dang near $900 just to get that. And at first they told me it was $1,700, but they did a calculation that was wrong than $900, so that made me feel good. I was only paying $900 for something that makes life easier for them. What? Fuck that, man. Anyway, man, I just got it on my heart, man, to do this and feel this way right now. And I just want to speak on, we need more awareness. We need more pressure from the government to stop them raping us with this money to get insulin that doesn't cost them that much to make, and the things that can help them with life. And if we can find a cure, that would be great. Because, honestly, It's just about the antibodies. And I would just say, I wasn't going to say it at first. The antibodies that fight colds and things in our bodies that help us, it turns on them and attacks their pancreas. No one knows why yet. Then they become type 1s. It's nothing to do with food, exercise. So there has to be some way to stop that. But we need more support. We need to let these people stop getting rich off of us, and people who are poor or just barely making it because they won't make a difference. I bet you if they didn't charge that's something that they pay $2 to make and not charge us $40, I have to pay $100 and something to get enough for a few months, a few hundred, over $100 every time, and that's for two separate ones. Now that she's on the pump, it's only the one vial, but at first I was paying that for two different, her Humalog and her Lantus. Plus the supplies I needed to make sure she gets it, she gets checked and everything else. It's like, come on, man, you guys are, I don't know. Anyway, we need more support, you guys. It has to not just be the quiet voices of type 1s and type 1 parents and people who don't even know there's a difference. We need people to really get out there and stop that. And when it comes November, and we're going to have that, or give type 1s their own, then I think November is still, even for those who know, kind of set for the type 2s. But I'm talking those who know, give the type 1s a voice. Let them have it when we go to the cash register at times for people to donate, to get to the right thing so we can find a cure, make it easier. If that means if they're not getting a cure, make these other avenues easier with the pump and Dexcom and all those other things to make life a bit more easier when it's time to get pricked. Think about you pricking your fingers 6, 7, 8 times a day, giving yourself insulin 7, 6, 8, 9 times a day. And once you do go super low, you get incoherent, you don't know where the heck you are, and you got someone trying to help you get out of that low, or you pass away. Gene Chisholm, my boy, he just died from type 1, and he went too low and he went out, or going too high where you have ketones and all of a sudden you're in the hospital because you can't catch your breath and all this other stuff that goes with it. There's a lot that goes with it. We need help. We need it to be acknowledged that there's a problem, and we have to step up, man. It's painful for them. It's definitely painful, and not as painful, but it's still painful for the parents. Just me venting about this because I ran into someone's page who was like, I'm a type 1, I'm 18, and beautiful page, and just, man. All right, just my thing, it's my page, and you guys listen to it for a minute. I don't know who went through this video, probably nobody, but it's just what it is.